Welcome this lovely spring morning to UU Asheville. My name is TK Browning. I'm one of the intern ministers here, ministerial interns here at UU Asheville. Very happy to see you all today. I'm trying a thing where the lights are dimmer today. One of my things I'm trying. Every time I get up here, people are like, what's this guy gonna do next? That's one thing. I'm trying dimmer lights, and the other thing I'm gonna try today is a no clapping Sunday. We've gotten very clappy. Anyone in the no clapping gang, give me a round of applause. So we're gonna try, that's a great option. This is a really good option. This is what we do up at the mountain. It makes nice like rain sound. Yeah, but just we'll hold off on the clapping today, see how that feels. Whoever you are, whoever you love, wherever you've been, however you find yourself today, we're really happy that you're here. I'm grateful for all the people helping me out with the service today. We've got Simon up on tech, Les at the piano, Chris on the many instruments. Mary is helping me out with the service today. Oh, and my shawl that I intended to wear. My good friend Gay, member of the congregation, was here at the first service. She gifted me the shawl a while back. Grateful for her. We will begin today with a gift of our opening music.
Good morning, everyone. How you doing?
Ghosts are singing all day long, all day long. Thank you, Chris. Audra, please come up and help us by lighting the chalice. Ooh, that is very low. I think I'm going to help you out with a different one. Maybe. Okay, now you can light yours. You can light yours. Excellent. Well done. Our chalice lighting words were written by TK himself. We light this chalice in the spirit of our many spectrums. May we each breathe with the knowledge that the human experience is wide and varied. May we be blessed to feel that wherever we land on the spectrums that inform us, your landing is valued and honored here. Please rise now or in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to Be Simple."
We're going to sing it through twice.
Thank you. Good morning. I get to step out from behind the box at the back. Woo! Hi, everyone. So I'm going to do a little chat today about May Day, because that's coming up really, really soon. And I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the traditions that people have all around the world. But basically, I'm talking about some of the traditions, weird traditions that we have in my country, my old country, I should say, in Britain. So, in a few days' time, people all around the world celebrate the first day of May, which is known as May Day. And this is something people have been doing for thousands and thousands of years. And the festivities would often begin on the very first day of May with something like this. This is called Bringing in the May, when people would gather wildflowers and green branches, and they would decorate trees and bushes around their villages, and they would create these beautiful sculptures. As I said, this was known as bringing in the May. But what makes May Day so important? Well, May Day is a celebration of spring, when everyone is looking forward to warmer weather, flowers start to come out, birds start to nest, trees start to flower, and crops start to pop up. And originally, It was to celebrate Flora. So the Greeks and the Romans celebrated May Day as a festival to worship Flora, the goddess of fruit and flowers and nature and spring. But way, way, way before that, there were ancient people called Celts. And one of the places that the Celts lived was in the British Isles, which is where I grew up. And the Celts would celebrate their own festival on May the 1st, which was called Beltane. And Beltane marked the point in the year when we'd start to see the darkness turn towards the light. Crops were starting to grow up again, and it was just a celebration of the oncoming of spring and summer. And people all around the world have many different and unusual ways to celebrate May Day. And I'd just like to show you a couple of May Day customs that I grew up with in the British Isles. So probably the most famous one that everybody knows is the Maypole. And villages all across the country would gather around, they would dance around with the ribbons, and as they danced, they would twist around the pole and make these beautiful, bright colours. And dancing around the Maypole was thought to bring good luck for crops that were growing in the field at the time, and they would hopefully bring good weather for the summer. Now, the Maypole dance was often led by a group of folk dancers called the Morris Dancers, which you out there might have heard of. So depending on where you lived, Morris dancers would dress in different costumes. So some of these guys would wear white. Other parts of the country, the Morris dancers might wear these tatty jackets, these tattered jackets, which were called tattercoats or raggies. And the costumes always included lots of bells, which would jangle when they danced. And they would wear hats on their head and braces to stop their pants from falling down. And they would tie handkerchiefs to the end of their sleeves, which they would wave around, but they could also use them to wipe their noses, not have to use their sleeve. Yuck! So that's why I think they originally did it. So another part of the Maypole parade would have a character called Jack in the Green, who would lead the procession through town. Now, Jack is also known as the Green Man or the Garland King, and Jack would represent the ancient spirit of the woodland, of rebirth and renewal, and of the coming summer. So that's the Jack in the Green. Yeah. Now, the Jack in the Green costume is often made from wooden or wire frames covered in greenery, such as leaves and flowers and branches. And the person inside, if you can see, it's really heavy, and they can't really see what they're doing outside. So it can be difficult to move in. So other Jack in the Green costumes are a lot easier to move around in and would be worn by people called whifflers. And I'm not making this up. It sounds like a J.K. Rowling thing. But the whifflers, the whifflers would be people who cleared paths through the crowd, like those guys there. And that would let the Jack in the Green pass through the crowd easily. Yeah, so the next slide is going to be a little bit of a question. So you can see there, people dressed up with the whifflers and the Jack in the Green. So my next slide, I have a question for you. This is meant to be some kind of creature. Can anybody guess what it might be? What kind of animal?
A dog?
Close.
A mouse?
Oh, also kind of close. Oops, sorry, I've lost my headphones. There we go. Believe it or not, it's a horse. Right. Of course it's a horse. Of course you'd have guessed it eventually. So, yeah, it's a hobby horse, but not the ones that we might know. And in some versions of the May Day Festival, the Jack in the Green is accompanied by a hobby horse, which is a person dressed in a horse costume. The most famous of these events takes place every year in a little town in Cornwall called Padstow, just on the water. Now, I know it doesn't look like a horse, but the costumes would be made from these wooden frames covered in black material, and they'd have a small horse's head at the front, which would have snapping teeth. And the idea was to throw money, if you could, into the horse's mouth, and if you didn't, it would come along and snap you, just come and nip you with those wooden teeth. So that's the hobby horse. Now, there's a little village called Tissington, which is in Derbyshire, and that's, again, in England. And the folk who live there, they started to decorate their wells, their water wells, to give thanks for fresh water. So they would build these incredible wooden frames, and they would cover them with clay. And then on a piece of paper, they'd sketch out the drawing that they wanted to do, and they would get that onto the clay. And then they would use all these natural materials like flowers and mosses. And they also use things like dry beans, seeds, sweet corn, small pine cones, and even dog hair to make these beautiful little pieces that they would stick outside the wells just to kind of bring good luck for fresh water. So the final one I want to talk about is a little bit weird. Now, you see this guy, yep. So you see this guy here, and he's holding something up, that round thing. Can anyone guess what that might be? Cheese. Yes, it is. It is a cheese, a great big. So this is a 600-year-old tradition known as cheese rolling. And it takes place every year on Cooper's Hill in a little town called Brockworth, where people race down a really, really steep hill chasing a 9-pound double Gloucester cheese. Okay, here we go. There's the cheese. So, yeah, the winner is not the person that catches the cheese, because that's going to roll a whole heck of a lot faster than anybody that's chasing it. But it's the first person to cross the finish line, and whoever wins gets to keep the cheese, which is great. Now, the reason I'm showing you this next photo is because, I said people all around the world celebrate different ways of doing things. Well, people come to this cheese rolling from all around the world. And the person that's won it twice in a row, they won it last year, actually, skip a year, and the year before, is this lady called Abby Lamp, the lady on the left. And the reason I mention this is that she is a student from North Carolina. So I thought you'd all be proud that our British traditions are getting won by North Carolinians. So that's just a little kind of overview. Now, I just wanted to mention one other thing, that if you guys want to take part in a really cool maypole dance, 5 o'clock today, Blue Ridge Spirit Cups will be holding a maypole dance just over there. So if anybody wants to take part for a little bit of May Day celebration, I'm sure they'd love to see you. Thank you.
No clapping. If you're here for the first time, you might want to accompany your child out into the big room out here, and there's teachers there with signs. You can walk them down to their classroom, see where they are, or see where you'll pick them up at the end of classes, at the end of service today. We will sing our song, As You Go, as they make their way out. Let us share in a moment of silence, ended by the sound of the bowl. Now is the time to acknowledge our joys or sorrows with a ritual of water and rocks. For all that grieves our hearts, we add salt to brine the water in this vessel, seeded from the water of our water communion. For all that brings our hearts joy or celebration, we scatter flower petals in this vessel to symbolize our happiness and contentment, also seeded with water from our water communion. We invite you now to form 2 lines on the side. Come down, take a stone from one of these vessels, add it to the water, and then return up the middle to your seats. If you have shared a joy, know that we rejoice with you. If you have shared a sorrow, know that you are held in love and care by this community. We add these last rocks for all the joys and sorrows of our community carried by those who are not present with us today. Our community is community, gathered or apart.
The reading today, Reclaiming Male Integrity, from The Will to Change by Bell Hooks. Healing the crisis in the hearts of men requires of us all a willingness to face the fact that patriarchal culture has required of men that they be divided souls. We know that there are men who have not succumbed to this demand, but that most men have surrendered their capacity to be whole. The quest for integrity is the heroic journey that can heal the masculinity crisis and prepare the hearts of men to give and receive love. Learning to wear a mask, that word already embedded in the term masculinity, is the first lesson in the patriarchal masculinity a boy learns. He learns that his core feelings cannot be expressed if they do not conform to the acceptable behaviors sexism defines as male. Asked to give up the true self in order to realize the patriarchal ideal, boys learn self-betrayal early and are rewarded for those acts of soul murder. Anyone who has a false self must be dishonest. People who learn to lie to themselves and others cannot love because they are crippled in their capacity to tell the truth and therefore unable to trust. This is the heart of the psychological damage done to men in patriarchy.
When the tears have all run dry and the hopeful words have all been said, I go down to the riverside, close my try that again, close my eyes and bow my head. Bow my head, bow my head. Sink these worries to the riverbed. I surrender to the sea. Bow my head to the mystery. So many things that I can't know, so many troubles lie ahead. Water like a kindness flows when I close my eyes and bow my head. Bow my head, bow my head. Sink these worries to the riverbed. I surrender to the sea. Bow my head to the mystery. when my feet are far from any shore, and the trail becomes dusty and dead. I can flood my heart with the ocean's roar when I close my eyes and bow my head, bow my head, bow my head. Sink these worries to the riverbed. I surrender to the sea. Bow my head to the mystery. Bow my head to the mystery.
A little kombucha never hurt anyone. I went to the woods to live deliberately, said Thoreau. To live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not really lived. Henry David Thoreau is one of our most lauded Unitarian ancestors, raised and baptized Unitarian, although splitting from the church in his adulthood, like Ralph Waldo Emerson, to take part in the Transcendentalist movement. He's also one of my intellectual heroes. Just a fair warning, if there is ever another real Transcendentalist break-off from Unitarian Universalism that can pay ministers, I'm out of here to do some transcending, brother. Emerson and Thoreau, like many in the Transcendentalist movements, were entranced with the idea of self-reliance. Influenced by early waves of Eastern religion into America, these thinkers were wrestling with ideas like intuition, individual experience, and societal nonconformity. Even the Unitarians, still among the most liberal of churches at the time, were too conformist to the ideas of enlightenment, rationality, and reason for the comfort of the Transcendentalists. It has become something of a Unitarian Universalist meme to poke fun at Thoreau's claims of self-reliance when his cabin on Walden Pond was only a mile from his home in Concord. His sisters would bring him meals, his mother would do his laundry, and he lived on the land of his mentor and bosom buddy Emerson, who he took frequent walks with. But I think still the move towards semi-isolation and nature-based living, echoed in the van life nomad of today, represents a wrestling with ideas of an especially masculine flavor of solitude, isolation, loneliness that still reverberates today. As I dive into my sermon today, I want to be clear. When I say men, I mean anyone who identifies as a man, because there's literally no other accurate marker of being a man. Gender is a social construct built over complex biological and social realities, and there's no need to say men and those who identify as men, as I'm in the habit of doing. They're the same thing. But speaking of modern men, how many of you have heard of the modern male loneliness epidemic? Anybody? I had heard about it and planned a whole sermon about it, and then I had to throw it in the garbage. I researched it for the sermon and learned that, in fact, the story is much more complicated than I thought. While men are reporting much higher levels of loneliness than they did 2 decades ago, in 2024, men and women reported nearly equal levels of loneliness. In fact, 27% of men reported that they had 6 or more friends, while only 24% of women in the US say the same. Another report says men are actually more likely to see their friends each week than women are. Now, everyone is lonelier in this social media, late-stage capitalist, post-COVID era. Men's fall has just been more precipitous. So why are we so afraid of male loneliness? Well, for one, I think losing a breadth of friendships affects men deeply. Men do report lower quality of friendships than women. So when they have a lower quantity of friendships, they don't have the same quality of friendship to rely on. That's real and an area of true concern. I think another reason why male loneliness gets a larger focus is that it's a whole lot scarier. What's the stereotype? When women get lonely, they get what? Cats and snarkiness. Or knitting needles for pussy hats, or a cute cafe downtown. When men get lonely, they get what? Guns and an ideology. Yes, honestly, they are probably more likely to get a dog, a cabin, or an Xbox. But rightfully, it's the guys with the guns and the ideologies that we're the most worried about, out of pure survival necessity. I've been thinking a lot about male loneliness, and I'm not under any illusions that I have it figured out. I'm sharing what I've found. In sharing what I found, there was one word that reverberated for me, echoed in my opening words from Thoreau. I went to the woods to live deliberately. The word deliberate is singing for me today, and I want to explore it with you. The first use of the word deliberate that is resonating with me is deliberate as in on purpose. The culture that has created a feeling of unique loneliness and despair in men is deliberate. It's on purpose. There are numerous political, corporate, social systems that benefit from a perception, from a reality of male loneliness and isolation. They thrive by convincing men that a truck or a riding lawnmower or a full head of hair is going to make these feelings go away. Politicians thrive by convincing men that their loneliness is a result of other groups getting an unfair leg up in life. I remember the morning after the election, there was this very stark shift in my social media algorithm towards right-wing commentators touting that this was the election that showed that men were finally done with feminism, even though the gender gap in this election was in line with all previous recent elections. Repressive culture thrives on men's insecurities as well. Men are not only taught that gay men and women and non-binary folks are a danger to society, but they are a threat to men's individual masculinity. Look at these depictions of men loving each other. They're from this book given to me by a friend, Dear Friends, American Photographs of Men Together from 1840 to 1918 by David Deichter. This book is just full of all these photographs from a different age when men showed affection, showed real love. And I've noticed in my travels around the world that men outside of the US especially are much more likely to show affection and care for each other. Emerson and Thoreau would write in their journals lovingly about each other in terms that I'd have a hard time imagining men writing about each other today. We have lost something essential, and that is by design. The second sense of deliberate that I've been thinking about is that of moving slowly and purposefully. There's no quick solutions available to course correct around the effects of male loneliness. Working to decouple our identities from unhealthy norms and agendas is slow, sometimes unrewarding work. You've seen me wear skirts and makeup to church. If you were here last Sunday, you saw me dance. While trying on new gender presentation can be a revelatory experience for some, for me it's been a gentle stretching of what my identity encompasses. I don't feel more myself wearing a skirt or makeup, but I still feel like myself, presenting in more traditionally feminine ways. And that's a discovery, a big discovery for me all on its own. My gender encompasses a much broader array of presentations I've learned than those that I was given as a youth, and I've been slowly but surely wandering past the borderlines of my childhood. Everyone here has made a great first deliberate step. Unitarian Universalism is the only major faith that I've found in research, likely in the history of the religious world, that to be led primarily by women. 50% of Unitarian Universalist ministers are women, another 4% are non-binary. That does not mean sexism has been eliminated in the pulpit, but it does make Unitarian Universalism a unique place to deliberately move towards that end. The next use of deliberate that I've been thinking about is deliberate, as in to discuss or come to a conclusion together. Deliberation assumes equality, like members of a jury or an umpiring crew. We need to talk about this, not as people who have figured it out to those who haven't, but as people who are learning together. We need to get together as men and people who care about men to work through together to find the best way forward. We need to ask for help. My time as an intern here is ending, and there is a year-long period of no contact that intern ministers are to observe with their congregations when the internship is done. But before I leave, I would love to start with willing men and people who care about men, a discussion group about masculinity. We have a men's group that meets every second Saturday. It's another great option. But if you're interested in starting something with me, before I leave that I can get rolling, give me your email after. Send me your email. I'm on the website. And we'll get something moving. My final deliberate is deliberate. Here's where my sermon gets particularly prickly, I think. Something just shut down. The computer doesn't want to hear it. The computer's done, yeah. No. And of course, men need liberated from the evil of patriarchy, just as much as women do. But for men, I think perhaps uniquely, liberation from patriarchy actually looks a lot like deliberation. Western culture has made men hyper-independent. We have lusted after the mountaintop of achievement and success, not realizing that communities aren't built on these sacred mountaintops. They are built in verdant valleys and alongside rich rivers. We have scaled to the heights of liberation, and now it's time to descend into the fields of dependence. I think even my heroes, Thoreau and Emerson, were misguided in their focus on self-reliance. There are problems bigger than can be solved alone at Walden Pond. One of the reasons cited for the end of transcendentalism is that the members of the group, almost 201, became involved, deeply engaged in the movement to abolish slavery. And it seems they found that self-reliance was not a good answer to an evil of that scale. Margaret Fuller wasn't equal to Emerson and Thoreau in influence on this transcendentalist movement, but she always struck a different tone. Even in her strong insistence that women be granted access to lives that allowed for self-reliance, she tempered with that an understanding that women's liberation was going to need to be a united effort, even with groups that did not agree on all points with hers. Likewise, the fascism we are confronting today will not be solved by an individual retreat into higher spirituality. I've seen a particular tendency in men, perhaps even particularly among liberal men, to try to elevate themselves above social phrase. If you're on social media, think about who you see most often posting in protest, sharing context, and urging resistance. It is women. Yes, liberate and deliberate actually have different Latin roots, even though they are spelled the same. The L-I-B-E-R of liberate means to be free, and the L-I-B-R-E of deliberate means to weigh. But I'm willing to push the boundaries of our language system to make this point, because I'm an etymological rebel. It's time to set aside our male instinct to be the one in the room, to never be the one in the room that cares the most. I think too often we forget that interdependence is still a form of dependence. In interdependence, we depend on one another while still maintaining a separate, full self. The people we depend on might shift, but a fundamental principle of Unitarian Universalism is that we cannot healthily separate ourselves from the interdependent web of which we are a part. That's no knock against solitude and retreat. There is a season for those as well, and everyone needs alone time to thrive. We could still all use a stint at Walden Pond, I think, as long as Mom is there to do the laundry. But it's in this fray, it's in community, where our loneliness and its consequences will dissipate, not on the pond. Want a good first step, men? Start coming to the monthly reproductive justice meetings. Start coming to the monthly reproductive justice meetings. I've attended every one since I began my internship, and I've only seen 2 other men from this congregation there. What about reproductive justice makes it a woman's issue? Don't we participate in that process equally? Planned Parenthood is coming here on Wednesday evening to do a training on trans rights and gender-affirming care. I haven't seen the sign-up list yet, but I'm pretty confident I know what the gender makeup of that sign-up list will look like. It's in the e-news. Sign up and show up. It's time we acknowledge not only do these movements need our support, we need the support of these movements. We men need reproductive justice. We men need gender-affirming care. Listen, I get it. We're all lonely, not just men, not just white people, not just liberals. It's not just patriarchy, it's capitalism, it's COVID, it's a hurricane. There are no simple answers here. But you're here today listening to another lonely human searching for answers. That's a lovely first step. I preach one sermon in many outfits, and that sermon is radical softness in response to a world that wants to make us hard. Be angry and then soften around that anger. Be sad and then soften around that sadness. Be lonely and then soften around that loneliness. Be in community and then soften around that community. Be you and then soften. Blessed be. I always forget to introduce the song. Please rise and body your spirit, for we are a gentle, angry people.
bell hooks, and who wrote this? Laura Neal? No, who wrote the song we just sang? Holly Near. Holly Near. Couldn't come up with the name. Great combination for today's service. So, this is the time when we hopefully get a chance to meet some new people who are willing, who are visiting, who maybe are visiting for the 8th time but are feeling strengthened. And we invite our visitors to stand, introduce themselves, say their names, where they're from, and we ask that you wait for a microphone to come by before you do that. But we have 2 people carrying microphones, and if you would stand to indicate that I'm ready. I'll say my name, I'll tell you where I'm from.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dana Doughton. My wife and I live in Nashville now. We moved up here, down here, from the D.C. area, but we're very happy to be here.
Welcome.
And I'm Stacy Gunther.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, I'm Cassius Ford, and I've lived somewhat nomadically, but I'm originally from the Southwest. I was born in Colorado and raised in New Mexico.
Hi, I'm Erin Brethauer. I live here in Asheville. I've come to 1 or 2 services before, but I haven't been by in a while, and I'm here with my son Arlo, and
Arlo is my little grandbaby. I'm Carol Lenz from Kansas City, Missouri. We live in Kansas City right now and considering moving to Asheville to be closer to this little guy.
And I'm Tom Lenz.
thank you.
Hi y'all, I'm Christina and I live in West Asheville and I've been to 1 service so far. It was a bit ago and now I'm back.
Welcome, welcome,
Glad to be
welcome.
here.
Wonderful. Thank you, brave souls. And this is the point where we all play Where's Waldo? No, not Waldo, Trevor. Where's Trevor? He's downstairs with the teenagers. I know that, but Trevor is our connections coordinator, and he is always ready after the service to meet with you visitors and answer any questions you have. I suspect he'll come up for coffee hour. Thank you. So our announcements have run as slides at the beginning of the service, and if you missed them, as I usually do, you can read them in the weekly e-news. And if you haven't started receiving the e-news, you can ask an usher to, help you accomplish that. Although it's pretty darn simple, you email information@uuasheville.org and say, please, newsletter, now, and things will happen. And now, a special announcement.
Good morning, UU Asheville.
Come to Soup Sunday after the service today.
Donations for Soup Sunday support the teen trip to GA.
Thank you.
Brief and to the point. General Assembly, for those of you who might not be as familiar with our initials as we are, happening in June. And yes, our teenagers will be there joining hundreds of other teenagers from across the country to talk UU, Unitarian Universalist. Okay. Our community plate recipient this month is Riverlink, an organization that's been working for over 30 years to restore and revitalize the ancient French Broad River and its watershed. In a time of climate change, this work seems more important than ever. And at this time, you can donate either online or by check to Riverlink by making sure that you write Community Plate or Riverlink in the memo line. And that will take your money given to the church to Riverlink. And additionally, 50% of all the cash that is in the donations plate today will also be given to Riverlink. The work and ministries of this congregation are supported only, entirely, 100% by the generosity of our members and friends. We enjoy celebrating our generosity, your generosity, every Sunday with music and thanks. You make us possible, and we thank every one of you for that. The offering will now be gratefully received.
No need to hide what's going on. Your story's all over town. But it's alright if everything's all wrong. Come on down to the crying ground. Dark skies feels like rain. Look at all those thunder clouds. I'll bet that dam is just about to break. So come on down to the crying ground. Come on down to the crying ground. Let your tears be holy water rolling down your face. Ain't no disgrace. Come on down to the crying ground. I can see you wanna steal away. You will never be found. But sometimes everybody feels this way. So come on down to the crying ground. Come on down to the crying ground. Let your tears be holy water rolling down your face. Ain't no disgrace. Come on down to the crying ground. Don't need to tell me what you're going through. Sister, I have been where you are now. Know exactly what you need to do. So come on down, 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 down. Come on down, 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 down. Come on down to the crying ground. We are talking holy water rolling down your face. Ain't no disgrace. Come on down to the crying ground. Come on down to the crying ground.
For the gifts you have given and continue to give this congregation, your presence, your time, wisdom, and resources, we are so very grateful. Now, for one last song from Chris Rosser, and thank you, Chris, for all you brought us this Sunday morning.
You guys feel like singing along? All right. You guys feel like singing along? All right, that's what I thought. It's very easy. There's a light. There's a light. A light at the end of this road. There's a light. A light. Like a guide, it's shining. It's with us wherever we go. It'll be obvious. Got it? All right. It's easy to feel lost right down this human path. Test some trust and faith out on people hurrying past. I guess we call it progress if we're roughly headed the same way. Sounded good.
May this lovely spring morning touch your heart. May the lovely warm coffee and soup in the fellowship hall fill your soul. Blessed be. Longtime son,